The part of me that wants these loves and needs and connection from this relationship is not me in the present. It's actually me from way, way, way long back. The little being inside me is the one who actually wants these things, not me in the present moment. Me in the present moment is just a manifestation or a projection of that subconscious mind wanting those needs. Isn't that crazy? It's insane. Like, you know how you know this? Do you teach yourself to eat every single day? No. When did you learn to eat? When you were a little child. Do you teach yourself to speak English every day? No. When did you learn that? When you were a little child. Do you teach yourself to walk every day? No. When did you learn that? When you were a little child. So everything you're doing now is just a repetition or a projection of something you learned when you were really young, including how you earn love, how you go after love, how you earn love, how you give love. All of those things come from your early experiences. We're not here to blame your parents or do anything else. We're here to try and fix that story. So then once I started studying neuroscience and the subconscious, I realized that is the area where the change can happen. So then every day at tea time, literally at tea time, because I love tea time. I'm come from a British colony, so tea time is like very religious to us. I would make a nice little setup and I would close my eyes, I would meditate, and I would practice going back to my little inner child and seeing him and trying to give him, as if I was a loving mother figure, trying to give him all of the love, the needs, the connection, everything he needed in that moment, but he never received. But then now the next question comes up, which is, how do I know what those needs are, Yats? How do I know what to give him? The best way to notice this, I'm leading you to point number 3 that I want you to write down. Every time you feel hurt, it is an unfulfilled need being triggered. I want you to write that down. Every time you're feeling hurt, you're disappointed, you're sad, you're pained, you're rejected, whatever it is, it's an unfulfilled need that's being triggered. Every time I feel hurt then, or disappointed, or sad, or lonely, if it's an unfulfilled need that's being triggered, my unfulfilled need comes from my inner child. So basically, every time I'm sad, lonely, hurt, rejected, whatever, it's my inner child crying. My inner child crying out to me saying, I still want love. I still want acceptance. I still want connection. Have you ever experienced that when someone tries to shame you, you feel joy? No, you most likely than not, you feel rejection. You feel shame, right? Because your inner child in that moment is so sensitive to that wound. If, for example, like this is also shadow work, but if someone came up to me and said, Yats, you're the ugliest white guy I've ever met, I'd be like, that is so random, man. Like, that makes no bloody sense. I wouldn't feel sensitive to it, right? But if someone came and maybe attacked me at somewhere I was sensitive, maybe around, and I'm sensitive around a lot of things. Now I'm trying to think of what I could bring up. Yes, you take your work way too seriously. You attach too much to what you get from your work. Then at that point, I'd be like, who are you to comment about like anything that I do? I'm driven by this, is my purpose, blah, 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 because that's a sensitive point. So then I'll get triggered by then and I'll try and react. Where does that sensitivity come from? Me, if I think about it deep, deep, deep down, it's me trying to prove myself so that I can earn love from my family. So point number 4 I'm giving you. Point number 3 was every time you basically have a pain or hurt or a trigger, it's really like an unfulfilled need that's not met or that's being triggered. It's basically an old wound that's coming up. So every time you get hurt, ask yourself in that moment, and you can write this question down, what am I really wanting right now? Don't say, what am I wanting from him? What am I wanting from her? What am I wanting from the universe? Don't ask that. Don't make the external the factor. Just say, what am I wanting right now? That will help you get to a lot deeper of the answers of what you're still wanting. And when you find out that thing that you want, the needs that you have, it's not about trying to get your partner to meet those needs. It's not even about fulfilling just those needs by doing certain things. It's about revisiting your subconscious mind and giving your inner child those needs. So my favorite way of doing this is every time I have a pain, a trigger, a hurt, I try and think to myself, when was the last time I had an experience like this? When was the last time I felt like this? If you can do it really well, in the Gauntlet, we teach you meditations each session. We take you through this week to week where we help you get into your subconscious mind and discover it. But if you're doing this on your own, Sometimes you have to just think about it on the surface, where you're like, okay, where did I have this experience first? Maybe you'll be able to get to it, maybe not, because our brain tries to protect us from those memories. But if you can get to it, and you can get to where did I have a similar experience like this in my childhood, then you will see moments in your childhood where you have to show up as that loving parental figure and give that little inner child a different experience than the one that they had in that moment. And that can look like, for me, for example, the need to perform is so deeply ingrained in my subconscious mind because that's how I earned love. And so I was afraid of failure. I was so afraid of failure that sometimes I'd freeze or injure myself, like when I was an athlete, because that justified me not being able to reach the highest standards and therefore not disappoint my parents. Because if I got injured, then, that was an easy excuse, right? So I used to sabotage myself by injuring myself. We do the same thing in our relationships. We destroy our relationships because we'd much rather not be rejected at the highest stakes. So I'd much rather break it down now. I'd much rather destroy my commitment with someone who can show up for me. I'd much rather find excuses it's not going to work. I'd much rather show up with behaviors from my end that'll push them away. All of those things because I don't want to be abandoned or rejected at the altar or at the highest stakes. That's how our subconscious mind projects. So I look at those same moments, right? So even now, sometimes when I'm say, for example, I'm creating the slides for this and I'm working so much that I forget to eat, I forget to take care of myself, I forget to do anything, then I stop and I pause and I look at my inner child and he's crying because he's carrying this big burden of expectation, of performance. And I look at him. I don't look at myself. I look at him. And I see his face so tired, his back and shoulders are bent over. Every time I'm hurt, I visualize my inner child and I see, imagine if the intensity of what I'm going through in the present moment, the intensity of how your heart is hurting, is all put upon a little being. Imagine that intensity. And immediately I have this responsibility to do something about it. So I see him and I see him in pain. I see him hurting. So then I go to him and I soothe him. I take off this load. I pull him close to my chest and I soothe him. I run my hands through his hair and I say, you are lovable just as you are. In fact, I give you permission to fail. I give you permission to fail because I want you to see that I will love you no matter what. I was never given permission to fail. So imagine if I had that, I would live so freely. I wouldn't go only in this direction, seeking success, driving myself crazy, seeking even relationships that only make me look good. I would be myself and love who I wanted and do what I wanted. So then when I reparent my inner child and I go into my subconscious mind, I slow down, I do breath work, I move my eyes upwards, hitting my vagus nerve. I swear to God, instantly when I come out of that, I feel different. So that time when I used to lock myself, I was in my aunt's house in Toronto. I remember this so clearly. I would lock myself up. And for 2 months, I did this reparenting. And when I felt, okay, finally I can come out of it, blah, blah, blah. And I think I'm slowly, let me try and ingrain back into society and start meeting people and dating. Since then, I have never dated anyone who is older. Maybe at best a year or 8 months, same age bracket. Never. And it was insane. I was so shocked. It has been so many years now, and I'm so shocked that I'm not even attracted to the same people that I was justifying being attracted to for 4 years. How does that happen? I didn't take a tonic. I didn't take one of those anti-cigarette tonic things when you smoke a cigarette. Oh my God. Take a cigarette, a tonic for bad relationships. And then you see a partner come, you're sorry, can't do it. Oh man, that would have been so easy, right? I should market a product like that. Man, I'd become a billionaire. You're absolutely right, Kaylee. At one point, I dated 4 girls who were born in the same month. Literally, they were all born in the same month as well, which blew my mind. I was like, how powerful am I? That I want to repeat so much of the pattern, and my brain wants me to realize this so much that I'm making it even more similar and similar and similar and similar and similar until I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally dating the same person, which is that I'm dating my old trauma. But once you do that reparenting, it just never comes back. And when the times it does come back, you have to go back to make sure you love and meet that inner child's needs so that you don't have these wounded needs, so that you don't try and seek these same things from the outside world, from wounded relationships, repeating those old wounded patterns. Because there's one thing I've realized. The needs you've had as a child, if you cannot discover how to fulfill them internally, You will always seek them externally, but you will never have them fulfilled. This is probably the most ultimate truth I have realized. And it was a hard truth for me to realize, but it is a truth that has changed my life and allowed me to change thousands of lives around the world by this one strong concept: how much you can change your own life. And if you learn to meet your own needs, two very important things happen. One, you break the cycle of those old wounded patterns and relationships you used to get into. And two, this is my favorite part, you no longer need the external world to make you feel loved anymore. You feel loved. You feel strong. You feel confident. You feel amazing. Why? Because you've learned to love yourself. Now, from this, you have finally discovered that you are indeed lovable. Why? Because you're learning to love yourself. You've discovered that you are worthy of commitment. Why? Because you're learning to commit to yourself. For 2 months doing the reparenting every day, I'm like, man, if I can bloody commit to myself, of course I deserve someone who commits to myself. So I'm not going to look anywhere where someone can't commit to me, has no ability to show up for me. I'm only going to look where people have love to give me, are capable of giving it to me, can commit to me. Why? Because I'm giving it to myself. So why on earth would I settle for someone who's bringing that $2 college bottle wine again? Makes no sense, right? I'm only going to go for the good shit or above, because you're used to it. You create that high standard for yourself. This does not mean that you have to be independent forever. Hell, even if you're in a relationship, you can do reparenting. I still do reparenting while I'm in a relationship so that I don't expect my partner to reparent me and that get frustrated and disappointed and angry at her when she can't. So often you want to be seen and heard, so often. And then you want to take this to your partner and be like, this is what I went through and this is what happened and whatever. And they give you a reaction that they're capable of because maybe they had a tiring day. Maybe their heart's not as open. Maybe they can't understand your pain the way you can. But you don't know any of that. You don't listen to that. You just want them to see you so badly that when they don't, you feel disconnected, you feel hurt, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected. So you disconnect from them or you project on them and then you blame them and you create resentment. You start creating cracks in your relationship and then you break this cycle, abandonment, self-sabotage. And then you go on looking for the same thing all over again when maybe you had something healthy. This is how incredibly powerful our subconscious mind can literally create our entire lives with. Are you hurting from shame, loneliness, toxic relationships? Do you want to break that pattern and create a beautiful, loving life for yourself? Well, my name is Yats, and I'm an inner work and relationship guru. And I have helped thousands of women and men from all around the world learn to become their best selves and have the lives that they truly want and desire. This channel was designed for you to be able to heal those old wounds, be able to become and elevate your best self, and to you to love your life really that you have right now. And I offer an 8-week program called the GAUNTLET, which takes you on this amazing journey of healing those wounds. And I also offer in-person live retreats all around the world where you can access that same level of healing and empowerment. I want you to do something for you today. I want you to watch some of these videos. And if these videos hit close to home, they resonate with you and they're giving you some inspiration, then I want you to subscribe and share it with somebody else who needs it. These videos aren't just for someone to consume. They're meant to inspire people to take action. And if you want to take action in your own life, jump in the comments, watch the videos, send me a DM at the Inner Yats on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video.